Okay, let's choose up. I'll take Jamal and Tutal. You can have Chubbs and Skippy. Let's go. My ball.
Okay. But you got skins.
Not a good negotiator? You don't have to be a good negotiator at McCarthy Chevrolet. McCarthy guarantees the lowest prices on a new Chevy or we'll pay you $10,000. We guarantee there's no need to shop anyplace else. McCarthy Chevrolet, I-35 and Santa Fe, Olathe.
Welcome to Hour 2 of the Midwest #1 weekly motorsports show, Track Talk, on the RacinBoys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Once again, here's Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Track Talk here on RacinBoys Radio and RacinBoys HQ Independence. Boy, my mic sounds awful hot. Welcome back, everyone. Again, hour number 2 brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Check them out at kccars.com. You might see me out there on Wednesday making a purchase of a new Silverado pickup. You know, Kirk, I know we got to be sensitive about fuel mileage, but I'm thinking about a Suburban. How about that?
Is that just like a truck, isn't it?
Well, it's, yeah, kind of, but different, right? Doesn't have the bed in the back.
It wouldn't use up as much as your Silverado, would it?
Oh,
as far as fuel?
Oh, I think
a Suburban would?
Yeah, I think so. I think it uses more.
Why is that? Because of the boxy nature of the vehicle?
More drag of the air, you know. Yeah. But anyway, I've been wanting one for a long time. We got to carry a lot of gear around this year with our pay-per-view broadcast, and I'm thinking even a Suburban right now. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. Hey, we got high-flying photos. John Lee hanging out on the chat room, as well as Racer X66. Tell your friends, get on here. I know Hollywood Bob will be on here before too long, I'm sure. Clint Brown, some of the regulars. So you know what it is. It's hour number 2. It's about hanging out, conversing with our listeners. This is all about just loosey-goosey, kind of opinionated, just a kind of a free-for-all second hour.
And I like Bob's call in the first hour.
Yeah, I do too.
Talking about the Chili Bowl. He's a fan. He's up there watching the race. And
his opinion is valid.
Alone. He's not alone in his opinion.
No. Well, and Bob, if you missed it in hour number 1, Bob's opinion was that they need to do something with the track. It's wore out by feature time when it comes main time for the Chili Bowl Nationals. And I believe that some people would agree with him on that. But the fact is, it's a tough assignment when you have that many races. 60, 70 races a day, and then the amount of races that they have, they probably run about 40 a night probably during the week.
Yeah, and you couple that with the Tulsa Shootout with 241 races and 1,000 race cars, that has an impact. The number of just the sheer number of entries that are on the track for over a 2-week period. That's going to have some impact of, there's rubber, as Sammy Swindell mentioned, there's enough rubber in the racetrack that tires were going to be affected in that event. And so that plays into it as well. And I don't think, where I disagree with Bob, is I don't think by cutting short the number of races on Saturday is going to make that kind of a difference.
Track's already got all those laps and all those races on it all week long.
Exactly. So whether you cut back on Saturday and do some of the alphabet soup on Friday night, I don't think it's going to make that kind of a difference in the quality of the track by the time you get to Saturday night's main.
Right.
I think replenishing the dirt, trying to get as much of the rubber out of the dirt as they possibly can, is the way to go. But even then, with the number of entries and the number of cars that they put out on the racetrack over the last several years, that's had more of an impact on the rubber in the track and so forth than anything else. It's just that it's gotten so popular, both the Shootout and the Chili Bowl, that there's just more cars out on the racetrack, and it's going to put more rubber in the racetrack.
Well, I agree. Listen, I have to disagree with him. I think we've seen some pretty good racing over the last couple of years. Is it as intriguing as like when we saw Tony Stewart win his first Chili Bowl? No. Is it that good? It's not always going to be that good. It can't always be great every year.
But let's be honest. We don't want it to be locked down, rubber down in the last half of the 55-lap race.
But weren't you happy with that? I mean, for me, the track rubbered up, and it wasn't that exciting the second half of the race. But that first portion of the race when Kyle Larson, Young Money, was racing the young Kevin Swindell, I don't know if I've seen a better 10 laps
Oh, it was great,
all year.
Great racing. They just, fans would just like to see that throughout the entire 55 laps. That's all.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're going to have David Claypool, who is the new general manager of formerly known as 24 Raceway down in Moberly, Missouri. They've changed the name and is Randolph County Raceway in Moberly, Missouri. We're going to be talking to David Claypool here in just a little bit about what's going on down there. I think some people will be surprised at some of the things they're trying to do to make that track a little bit better. One of the things that they're doing is they're taking off the asphalt that Jack Johnson laid down in 2000. So many people complained about Moberly and how it was so abrasive and how it was so hard and slick and how it always burned up a lot of tires. Sprint car drivers hated to go down there and run.
Yeah, the track got so hard with that asphalt.
Right. And when you put the water in it, it wouldn't absorb the water, and it wasn't very thick to start with. So they've tore up all the asphalt that's underneath there, and they're in the process of doing that, I should say. And I think that's going to help that track a lot. Changing the name, does that really do anything? I'm not sure it does. Seems like since the Roberts owned that racetrack originally when they built it, I think in 92 maybe it was, something like that, they didn't have much luck down there. And then Jack Johnson, when he purchased it, didn't have much luck, and especially no luck once he made it a pavement track because Jack was a pavement guy. And then when we saw Jerry Milnes and his crew that were the last owners, an ownership group, limited success, not bad. They were able to survive for a few years, but I think they realized that the amount of money that they were making in the hard hours and the work that it took to make it that little bit of money wasn't worth it. So they've went on to sell it to David Claypool, who has now again changed the name to Randolph County Raceway, and I'm anxious to see. And listen, I think we said this a little bit, maybe hour number one, or maybe it was off the air. That track, for whatever reason, has always struggled down there. And you would have thought back in the day when Capital Speedway closed down, Carl Edwards' home track, you would have figured that everybody would have migrated over there to Moberly. But it didn't happen for whatever reason. And I think, again, it had something to do with how hard it is on equipment. We mentioned the tires, how they get burned off because of the pavement under there, but also the speeds of the track. That track's a really fast track. It's not really made for everybody. Weak at heart, maybe not so much. I had a chance to race on it when it was pavement, and it was a fast. Now, it's not fast like I-70. It's not like that, but still had enough banking that it would get your attention. And for whatever reason, tires burning up, track a little fast, a little hard on equipment because you got to have a good motor. I think there might be a combination of things why people don't go down there and race. And I don't think really the car count is the biggest issue. It's the attendance.
Yeah, the fan attendance.
And what can we do to make good attendance there? Now, better racing on the track, different winners every week. We know that brings fans back. So we're going to see what David Claypool can do with that
I
place.
think the biggest problem is Moberly, Missouri, which is a pretty good-sized town, has just never been a racing town. That town alone has just never supported that racetrack in big numbers.
So close to Columbia and Jeff City, though, that you would think people would come over there to race.
What is it? It's still 20-some miles up the road from Columbia?
Yeah, but it's an easy 4-lane. When I raced down there, it was 2-lane. It was kind of a pain in the butt to get over there, to be honest with you.
It's a lot handier to get up there from
much
Columbia
easier to
than
get there now.
Yeah.
So, and, really, if you're a fan of going to different tracks, Moberly is not that far of a drive from here. I used to pull my race car down there in 2.5 hours. And I'm sure that if you really hustled down there, you could probably, in a car without just going down as a fan, you could probably make it in just over 2 hours.
What's got to happen is they got to create an atmosphere where it's not just about the racing, it's about the whole package. It's about creating a culture and an atmosphere around that facility where people want to spend their Saturday nights up there, and they would be able to drive in from long distances to do that. Number two, you have to get named drivers to come race there on a weekly basis. The big-time drivers. A lot of those guys were racing down at Lake Ozark Speedway. Well, that track is not open right now. Mm-hmm. So you got to get named drivers to come race at your racetrack on a Saturday night and create a feeling that this is a big deal. And then it's going to take some time to build up the fan base and get it to where it becomes a habit and part of a culture in Moberly and still you have the challenge of getting Moberly more involved in the racing over there. Car counts have not been a big problem when Jerry Milnes owned the racetrack. They got good car counts up there.
Right.
It's fan attendance that's always been the big challenge at that racetrack.
Which, again, I don't understand. It's not a very difficult track to get to. It's kind of easy. I don't have any problem getting there. You could take 24 Highway all the way down there if you want from Independence, and that's not my way of going. I go down I-70 to 63 and cut over 63. I think that's exit 128. So you're talking about 100 miles down the road, and then you cut over about another 20 miles on 63, and you're right there. They are going to run USRA rules this year, and they are going to be an official ULMA track. So the ULMA guys are going to have a place to run down there weekly. After Dennis, I think it is official. Dennis has decided not to bring the late models back to Valley Speedway because of the low car count. I know with my conversations with David Claypool that he's hopeful for 15 to 18 late models down there. Is that wishful thinking? I don't know. You see the support that Lucas Oil Speedway has. The Lucas Cattle Ranch has came back on board as the title sponsor to their ULMA class down there at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Lucas Cattle Company?
What'd I say?
Cattle Ranch?
Ranch. Cattle Company.
Lucas Cattle Company.
Moo. Okay. But anyway, so they've always had a good car count down there. But that's more late model country, southwest Missouri, You see that more down there. So we'll just have to see what people, if they'll kind of work their way over there.
It's a great facility.
Yeah. The grandstands are good. I love the grandstands. They probably hold 3,000 people.
And it looks like they're doing some refurbishing work to the grandstand area. They're doing a lot of work to that area, and the whole facility in general to build it back up because it needed it. It was a track that was built about 90, 89, 90 somewhere in there.
I want to say 92.
Yeah,
well, I may be wrong on that. Because 89 is the year that the Roberts took the dirt off of I-70, so I don't remember them building that track.
I remember it there in 1990 when they had a big sprint car show.
In 1990?
Yeah.
Really?
So it's been around that long. But, they're doing a lot of work to it, and it sounds pretty exciting. I don't know if the name change was necessary. Usually when you change the name of a racetrack, you're trying to get rid of some bad reputations from the past. Well, Jerry Milnes and the folks that owned the racetrack had a good reputation. They ran a good facility over there and a
treated
good Saturday
everybody
night
fairly
race program. So 24 Raceway was a good name, but I guess they want to change. I didn't even know that was Randolph County, to be right honest
with you. I didn't either. That kind of
But,
caught me off guard a little bit as well.
But it takes a little bit, and the thing that might be a negative to that is when I first heard the new Randolph County Raceway, I wasn't sure what that was.
Right.
Until I looked at, that's Moberly. So
right.
You got to be careful that when you're going out and marketing your racetrack, you want people to know what you're talking about.
Right. But then again, you want also people to think that you have something new and fresh at the same time.
Right.
So it's kind of a slippery slope. Let's go to the phones. You got him potted up in there, Todd? Phone lines are open, 816-833-8553, 816-833-8553. Let's go to David. He's up first. Hey, David, how you doing, bud?
Good. How are you?
We're doing well. Thank you. This David Claypool?
Yes,
Dave,
it is.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. I didn't know we were give you the cue to go on that in there. Hey, David, appreciate you taking the time. We've just been sitting here talking about your track down there and the fond memories that I have of that racetrack. I raced down there only when it was pavement. Again, won the inaugural pavement race in my modified. Love that place. It's really fast. And, when they put the dirt back on it, David, and this is kind of what, first of all, I want to talk to you about. A lot of people said it burned up tires because it gets so hard and slick and smooth. And I heard many of the sprint car drivers complain about it. And you're going to try to do something about that. You're going to pull up all the pavement and make it just a regular dirt track where maybe you can keep some moisture in it. Is that correct?
That's correct. We've in the process right now with removing the asphalt. We've already got the dirt taken off the top, so we've probably got half the asphalt removed. So hopefully we can put it all back down and make these guys happy.
Yeah. I guess you heard the same complaint about people thinking that pavement under there caused tires to get burned up a little bit.
Yeah, the main thing was, like you say, they couldn't keep moisture in the track. They had about a foot of dirt on it, and once that water hit the asphalt, it just rolled down the hill and just the ground would just dry up too fast.
Yeah.
like I say, that burns up tires. So.
Now, David, we'll get into what's going on with the racetrack and some of the stuff you have planned for 2013. But first of all, let's talk about David Claypool, your background, and how did you get in this old game of motorsports? What's your background in racing?
Well, my background is not necessarily racing. My dad has competed in four-wheel drive truck pulling on a national circuit for many, many years, ever since I can remember. That's kind of how I got my start in motorsports. Here a couple of years ago, I was wanting to put on a couple pulls and a monster truck type event, and I was struggling to find a place to put one on. And then I come across the Mobley track might be for sale, so I looked them up, and we come to an agreement, and I bought it. And I said, well, it's a racetrack. Let's get some people together and go racing on this thing. So that's kind of how it all come about. So
what it sounds like to me is that you're planning on having other events besides just circle track, dirt track racing there as well. So monster trucks are in the future of Randolph County Raceway, and I'm sure that you're going to have tractor pulls and stuff like that as well.
Sure. Our first event is May 3rd and 4th. We're going to have a monster truck summer nationals with Bigfoot out of St. Louis and 4 or 5 other trucks. And then we're going to start racing on a weekly basis after that on Saturday night. And then we're going to throw in a truck and tractor pull one weekend in there, and then doing a couple other things, concerts and whatnot. Try to make it more of a family event center and plus racing. So it's just a good facility just to be sitting there and not race on it. So.
You're new to the racetrack promotions here. Just kind of fill everybody in on your racing background. How did you become a promoter?
Well, like I say, I just I seen a market in it for dirt racing down here in Mobley, and just things just come together and it made it all work. I've got some good people behind me that's got racing experience. Danny Lorton here from Mobley, he's come on board to take over the stuff we was unfamiliar with in the racing side of it. So he's really made a go of it. So we owe a lot to him right now. So he's doing a great job for us.
You know, I got to say this. A lot of times a racetrack, when a purchase is made or somebody sells it, it's because the people there prior to it really, either had a bad experience or what have you, or maybe didn't do things the way they should have done. I know Jerry Milnes. He is a really good guy, and I know they put a lot of effort into that racetrack. You're taking over a racetrack that doesn't have so much of a negative stigma attached to it because of bad promoter. It's just they just felt that they couldn't do it anymore. It's the way I understand it with Milnes and his group.
Yeah, Jerry's been over backwards helping me out too. He was glad to see it sell, but here again, he wants to see it go. I just think they got burnt out. The economy kind of went downhill about the time they purchased it, and just one thing led to another. And like I say, I just think they're burnt out on it. So they was glad to let it change hands. So and we're glad to take it over. So.
Now you're not leasing the track. You have made the purchase and actually bought the racetrack, correct?
Yes, correct. We own it as a family, the Claypool family. So.
I see. And what's your family? What do you guys do for a living?
My parents own and operate a small general contracting and construction company. That's who we work for right now. Very successful. We do homes and steel structure buildings, commercial work. So that's what we do for a living. That's
kind of in the wheelhouse of what you need when you're doing the capital improvements. And, we were talking about the racetrack and the grandstands and the layout and even the concession stands. That place has huge upside with those grandstands and everything it has going for it. The sight lines are, I don't know if there's a track that has better sight lines than that racetrack, even with the way they've got the, sitting up high, looking down at the racetrack, has a lot going for it.
Yeah, the track's got a lot of potential. Like I say, we just got a lot of little improvements to make here and there, and several big ones. But we're in the process of doing it. So I think we're going to make a good go of it here. So.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the classes that you're going to be running down there. You were telling me yesterday that the ULMA late model is going to be racing down there, and their championship earnings, the championship driver is going to pick up $1,500, and you're going to be running the USRA modified division, and they have their own point fund that's worth up to $1,500. Just kind of talk about the classes and the amount of money and the incentives that you are putting out there for guys to race there each week.
Well, like you say, we're running the late model series with ULMA, and then with USRA, we're going to run the modifieds, the B mods, stock cars, and hobby stocks. We've got together with USRA, and they've offered us a pretty good points fund to get this thing started in the right direction. USRA, I think, is the right sanctioning body for this area. It keeps the rules a little more tight for the working man to come out and race on a Saturday night and be competitive. So, like I say, the points fund's there. It's what we need to make this thing work. It just throws out some more incentives for the drivers and to make it worth their while to come out and support us. So.
And let's be clear, all of your classes are USRA, the modifieds, the B mods, the stock cars, the hobby stocks. They're all under the USRA sanction, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Todd Staley doing a pretty good job with that outfit, isn't he?
Yeah, they've got a lot of great people under him, and he's starting to get the USRA and a lot of local tracks around our area, which helps us, so guys can run the Friday, Saturday, and the Sunday night show and run for their national point series. So.
What's your plan to get the city of Moberly more involved in the racetrack? That's always been a big challenge for that facility over there, getting that community more involved in that racetrack.
Or getting the people from Columbia or Jeff City as well.
Well, I'm in particular Moberly.
Yeah.
Well, the Moberly people, they've been burnt a few times with some previous owners. Some stories I've heard in the past. We're starting to work with them. Slowly but surely, we're getting in there and letting them know what we got to offer and who we are. And just kind of our background. We're working with some county park boards. They're wanting to move maybe the county fair out there to our area.
Oh, that's
good. A big plus. So once they get out there, then we can kind of show them that we're supporting the community in that direction. So it's just going to take time, like I say, to clean up some of the stuff they've had happen to them in the past. But we're up for the challenge, and I think we can make it work. So.
What kind of specials? I know that you and I talked yesterday, and I know that you're planning on running an ASCS Warrior Region race down. What'd you tell me, July 5th or that week?
July 6th.
July 6th, that's what it was. So you plan on bringing some sprint cars down there. That's always a good show. We'll try to put up some video maybe here later of I've got an in-car camera shot of Jonathan Cornell running your track one night down there, and it's ultra fast with the sprint cars, really fast around there. What other kind of specials? We mentioned the monster trucks and that kind of stuff, but what other kind of specials can we look forward to down at Randolph County Raceway?
Well, as of this year for the 2013 season, just the Warrior Sprint is basically the only special we're going to have as far as a touring series come down. We're going to throw in some of our own specials with raised purses for our weekly guys, but we're just getting our feet wet this year, and next year, like I say, if 2013 goes good, I'd like to have some sort of touring late model series come in there, and possibly a national sprint car show. We're open for anything. We're just like I say, we're just trying to slowly work our way into this and make a go of it.
Let me ask you this quickly, and I hope I'm not getting too personal here, David, but I got to ask this question because we've seen a lot of promoters over the years come in to promote a racetrack for the first time thinking they're going to make a lot of money. And a lot of times when these promoters come in here, they think they can open up the gates and people will come, and they don't have the resources to take a chance on things or during bad times, during the peaks and valleys, maybe if you take a loss on a race here or there, which it happens. I mean, it's the nature of the business. Mother Nature might look like it's going to rain and nobody wants to show up. And you still got to run the show. You still got to pay the purse. And now you're dipping into your pocket sometimes. When it comes down to that type of situation, you and your family and what you're doing down there, are you prepared financially to be able and have the resources to be able to operate this track if you get into a situation like that and be able to follow through with the promises that you make, knowing that you might have to bank a little bit on your family money?
Sure, and we knew this going into it. Nothing's guaranteed, especially in the motorsport industry and the promotion side of it. We've got some financial backing to make this thing work. I don't want to sit here and tell you that I can do it for 2 or 3 years straight and not make a profit. But like I say, the racing deal, if we can just show up and make a little here and there, or just break even on race night, if I can make my money on my specials, that's what we're looking at. But yeah, to be honest with you, we've got probably 2 or 3 years worth of backing to make this thing work.
Well, that's important because, again, that brings credibility. You know, when people see that you're serious and you're going to be in it for the long haul, then people are willing to invest in equipment and time and energy to go watch your races. So, yeah, I think that's a big positive for you, Kurt.
Yeah, what some of the other improvements you're planning on making the facility? We saw some pictures. You're doing some refurbishing of the grandstand area. What are some of the other big plans?
Well, like you say, we're removing the asphalt, working on some of the board seating in the grandstand area. We're remodeling the concession areas from top to bottom, going through all the restrooms, cleaning them up, paint, just sprucing the place up, and giving it a fresh new appearance. Nothing structurally as far as the facility goes, just mainly cleaning up and getting rid of the asphalt and making things safe for the spectators. So.
Let's talk about Danny, who is going to be your, I believe, competition director down there. What can you tell us about him?
Well, Danny's been a modified and a late model driver for many, many years around this area. He actually called me when we heard we purchased the place, and he kind of gave me his racing background and what he wanted to do with the place, and he's bent over backwards to help us make this thing work. And like I said, we owe a lot to Danny for what he's done. I've had a lot of good feedback from racers saying that Danny was the guy to probably do it if anybody could do it. So we're real thankful that Danny come on board. So.
Yeah. Well, give us some dates with your first time on the track. What's your first date, and when are you going to open up, and kind of give us a rundown how the season's going to start?
Well, like I say earlier, the monster truck event's going to be our first event for the season. That's May 3rd and 4th, and we're going to start racing on May 11th. All 6 classes: late models, modified, B mod, stock cars, hobby stops, and then a little 4-cylinder class. And then we're going to race, like I say, we're going to race every Saturday night till September 28th is our final race night for the season.
I want to say something about the monster truck. Bob Chandler's Bigfoot's going to be there. And, folks, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's not a lot of opportunities to see Bigfoot. Bigfoot is not one of those trucks you're going to see on speed, flipping his truck upside down, catching it on fire, and crashing it all over the place. He doesn't believe in that philosophy. But at the same time, him and his group put on a great show. So this is a good opportunity to go down and see Bigfoot. I haven't seen him in several years myself.
Yeah, there's like I say, there's a lot of the younger kids that probably heard the name Bigfoot but don't know it.
Right.
Like I say, Chandler and his group, he's one of them that haven't sold out to the big monster truck show people. Most of them trucks are owned by one person or one company, and Bigfoot there, he didn't ever sell out to them. So he believes in running his own show and doing it with a class act. So
yeah,
it ought to be a good time.
All right. And again, that date is for that monster truck show?
May 3rd and 4th.
May 3rd and 4th. Okay.
Friday and Saturday night. So.
Well, David, congratulations on the purchase of the racetrack. Looks like you're trying to do the right things to make that track a little bit better by tearing up that asphalt. I got a feeling, it sounds from our conversation here on the show, that you're prepared and ready to make this thing work, and whatever we can do to help you up here in Kansas City, send some people down your way, we'll try to do so. So good luck to you, my man. Appreciate you taking the time being on the show with us.
All right, Sam, you appreciate for your time. So
okay,
thank
David.
you.
Thank you. There you have it. That's David Claypool on Track Talk with the RacinBoys, and sound like a good guy. Yeah,
and the fact that he's gone in and his family's purchased the grounds, the facility, and everything, rather than lease it out. I think that means that there's going to be a lot of structural improvements. Not a lot right away, but down the road, you got to believe that that's the case. And sound like pretty even keel businessman out there, and wish him well to get Randolph County Raceway up and going again. That's a great facility, and it needs to be one of the top facilities in Missouri, and it's heading that direction.
Well, let's hope it does. Yeah, it's got huge upside, and I've never understood why it hasn't been able to be successful. So hopefully,
well, I think he touched on it a little bit. When I asked him about getting Moberly back involved again, there were some instances when the track was first built that created some problems within the community. maybe some bills didn't get paid early on
I
from
don't
some of the
know.
earlier owners.
I have no idea
Some
on
things that went on over there that created a bad reputation inside the city of Moberly. And after 20, and that's 20 years ago, and it's still, there's been some good owners since then. And it's still taken a long time to get past that reputation.
Well, I'm friends with Jack Johnson, who owned that track in the late 90s and early 2000s. And I don't think he made
this would have been before Jack Johnson.
Yeah, but I don't think Jack made a lot of friends there either.
Yeah.
A lot of people were very upset when he put asphalt on that racetrack. And I think there was I don't know, some sort of negative attitude change towards the racetrack when he did that. Because we'd go down there and race, we'd have 75, 80 cars in the pits. A lot of our guys from I-70 went down there and raced. And there'd be 200 or 300 people in the grandstands. You can't pay a purse like that.
Well, I think that Moberly is a very tight-knit community, and if you're not part of that community, you're on the outside looking in, and life's not going to be very good. So if they can get ingratiated back into the community, take part in community affairs, and not just as a racetrack but as a business, become part of the community, then they got a shot, because Moberly is a good-sized town, and there's a lot of people in Moberly that you can turn into race fans and get them out to that.
I'm going to tell you,
racetrack every
Moberly
week.
could be one of the best sprint car tracks around here.
Oh, no question
The
about
way
it.
it's configured,
Sure.
and let's be fair, the safety of the racetrack too. I mean, their fence is tall, their wall's tall down the front straightaway. Not if any chance of a car getting up into the grandstands there, which is always important when it comes to
I
sprint
think it
car
was
racing.
built for sprint cars originally, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I can tell you one thing. It is a hair-raising experience to watch those guys down there, especially if it doesn't take rubber. The problem with it, again, when sprint cars race down here in the last few years, because of the pavement, it would take rubber real quick. The video that we have is, and maybe I can find it here and we'll put it up at another time, or maybe we'll get it up on the YouTube page because I think it's in our old files. But it was Jonathan Cornell one night that he won down there, and you can hear the track starting to take rubber, because at the start of that race, he's feathering a little bit, but by the end of the race, he's almost wide open all the way around there, and it's a very interesting shot because, if I'm not mistaken, the camera kind of moves a little bit during the portion of him driving it. So we'll try to get that up. I will tell you from talking to David Claypool as well, he would love to bring in an ASCS National Tour race there. And I mentioned that to the folks down the office at ASCS yesterday. They said, "Can we do it this year?"
Yeah, they're looking at adding dates.
Well, we got
right now.
We've got a few open dates that they want to get filled in there. So that's that would be a place to do it. I don't know if I want to be a part of that. I'd like to see how it goes the first time. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a work in progress to get the fan base built back up over there, but it can be done. It's not impossible.
On a national race, you're going to have to at least get 1,300 people in the grandstands and 300 or 400 people in the pits, and I'm just not sure they're ready for that yet.
I think what they should do is just work on their weekly program more than anything else. I know they got that monster truck show coming in, but if they build up a fan base with their weekly program, then next year or the year after that, then they can start working on some specials, and they got to build in fan base.
It really could be a great regional sprint car track. It might be just a great place to run Lucas Oil Power Midget Series race or Warrior races. It might be a great little new track that maybe the Warrior guys can go to more than one time.
Boy, that'd be a wild track for midgets.
Woo!
I don't know about that.
What are you talking about? What's wrong with that?
Midgets around Randolph County Raceway.
What?
They go fast.
Well, yeah. Oh, there wouldn't be anything. What's the difference between it and a sprint car?
Midgets at Knoxville versus sprint cars at Knoxville. Very fast racetrack.
The sprint cars are still faster. The midget's not faster. It's slower.
I like the midgets on maybe a slightly smaller racetrack.
Oh, no. Listen, I'm going to tell you where it's scary to watch midgets. Out at USA Raceway in Tucson.
Yeah. I've seen them out there.
Oh, man, you want to pay attention to
Crazy
some
fast.
Crazy
Knoxville,
fast.
Knoxville midgets are too fast for that racetrack.
Right. I'm like Hollywood Bob. I can't imagine a 2-day monster truck show. And he said it was 2 days, didn't he?
He did.
They better have a lot of monster trucks. That's all I can tell you. Because I don't know if Todd, have you been to a monster truck show, bud?
Yes, I have.
They tear them up, don't they? So if there's only 4 or 5 of them,
what are you going to do left on the second
if
day?
there's only 2 left, what do you do? Maybe they bring in some backups. I don't know.
You should bring in the cars from the parking lot.
You take your kids to the monster.
I've taken my son to one. He's ready to go see some the Nuclear Cowboys or some monster trucks or something like that.
He wants. Is it amazing to you how the kids get excited about monster trucks? I mean, you check out those shows that they show on Speed, and they're in these stadiums when there's 40,000 people in there, and about 35,000 of them are kids.
And they're going nuts.
And they are going crazy, and they're buying that merchandise like it's going out of style.
Yep.
Huh?
There's money being made on that.
I don't know. It's one thing drawing a big crowd at these big stadium shows. How do you translate that over to a smaller venue, and how big a crowd you going to get?
Hey, did you guys notice the Todd cam there, by the way? Huh? Todd cam. All the producers we've had here, we've had Stick and Trenton and Tristan, and who else have we had in here? And nobody's got their own personal cam but Todd.
You set that up. That was your idea.
I know it.
He took care of me.
Huh? Don't you like that, though? Look at him, man. Show him your wing again. Show him your broken wing.
It's doing good. Look at this. I'm even moving more now.
You think you could play guitar like that?
Look at that.
What, Smoke on the Water at least, right?
That's your first song. I think if I could pull that off.
No, see, Smoke on the Water and House of the Rising Sun. Isn't that that's what they teach you when you go to class?
That's what you. And then if you learn Stairway to Heaven, they ban you when you go into play places. No Stairway to Heaven.
Or Freebird.
No Freebird.
Freebird or Stairway to Heaven. Get out of here, mister. Don't be playing that crap.
All songs people have heard of.
You know what? I'm a big Leonard Skinner fan, but I can't stand listening to Freebird or Give Me 3 Steps.
Give me anything but Freebird on Skinner, and we'll be all right.
No, anything that they don't play on the radio.
Exactly. They've burned it.
And it's kind of like, Kirk, you saw Leonard Skinner live too, didn't you?
Yeah, that was before Ronnie Van Zant was killed in a plane crash.
He saw the original.
Wow. I saw him at Hilton Coliseum in Ames, and a group by the name of Head East opened up for him.
Wow,
and
flat as a pancake.
I was about 10 rows back from the front. And it wasn't long after that Ronnie Van Zant was killed in a plane crash.
Kirk, were you on the hippie lettuce when you were there?
Listen,
no did you hear Kirk?
No public comment.
Were you on the hippie lettuce there? Were you on those left-handed Paul Moles?
That Freebird you're talking about.
I was tripping, he said.
That was a very lengthy version of Freebird they did in concert that night.
Hey, Todd, could you imagine seeing Kirk on the left-handers?
No.
That would be about as funny as anything.
On the what?
Left-handers. You know.
The hippie.
Oh.
Left-handed Paul Moles. You know what I'm talking about. I just can't imagine. Could you imagine that, Todd?
No. The nervousness would just.
You know what? I bet he would be really cool on that stuff.
I'd be laid back.
You know what? He might not get wound up so tight. You know it?
Racing season.
Maybe we'll all need to trip back into the 70s one more time just to see what it's like.
Hot tub time machine.
Hot tub time machine.
Hey, I was just in college back in those days, man. That's
a college thing, right?
We was just going to a concert. That's all. Then you're bringing up other stuff.
Man, I wish I'd have seen Skinner. That'd have been nice.
Hey, people in the chat room, can you imagine Kirk Elliott? Huh? Could you imagine that?
Had longer hair back then. I can tell you that much.
Well, you had longer hair when I met you. It just kind of was a comb over
thing. Back in the 70s, everybody had long hair.
Hey, Todd, did I ever tell you that story? On air, we were out, what were we, Baron BMW on remote one day. Kirk, he was styling him a little comb over thing, you know. And Kevin Kiesman and myself had been giving him a little bit of a hard time about it. And we were out on a remote one day, and Kevin says, I'll get somebody, a stylist, come out there and give you a new haircut. You look like a new man, Kirk. This guy shows up.
He showed up.
He shows up, right? He's got this bag. He looks like he's coming in to do a haircut. And he opens up the bag. There's one thing in it. The trimmers where you just like shave a razor, like you shave your dog, right? And so this was back in the day. Were we on 97.3 at that time? I think we were, weren't we? It was ESPN 97.3 at that time.
Well, we were on 810 that afternoon.
I think we...
Was it
a
segment with Kevin?
I know, but we remember there was a time when we were doing the they do the you could hear Kevin's show both on 97.3 and 810 at one time.
I don't remember that.
Well, anyway, this guy opens up and all he's got is these razors, right? Kirk goes, "Hold on,
No.
hold on. What's your qualifications here? Do you cut hair? What? I just don't know if I just." Oh, he was.
Let
scared.
me go to my own barber. Yeah. We ended up.
Well, no, Kirk. We needed to get you away from your barber. Your barber wasn't doing you any favors at that time, right? So here we go. They pull that old comb over up and they ripped it right off, and he's looked better ever since.
Never went back.
He just never went back, and we are so proud of him. Now he doesn't have to.
Doesn't blow.
When the wind's blowing.
Was getting bald, and just
Getting
trying to
bald.
cover it up.
I wish I had as much hair as you, to be honest with you. You still got a lot of hair up there. It's kind of thin, but it's still got a lot
thin.
up there.
Still thin.
You could almost like spike it, put a little.
I need a haircut now.
You are a little long right now. Your
Too
hair
long,
is,
yeah.
Remember we
I
watched
got mine yesterday.
We watched those guys spray that stuff on their head that day and thought about that spray on hair.
Harvey Wallbanger says, "Can't see corn on any magic brownies." He says,
No. Hey, I just enjoyed good music back then.
Blackberry Smoke. I have checked them out. Yeah, you familiar with them?
I've heard them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looked them up on YouTube. I checked them out. I saw them on Palladia, I believe. We're not talking much about racing right now, but that happens sometimes around here.
Second hour.
Second hour, it is.
Palladia, that's a good channel.
Do you watch it?
Yeah, every now and then.
Watch when I ask Todd. Todd,
I'm jealous.
do you watch Palladia, bud?
You got Palladia, Todd?
No, I hear about it through the wonders of all my friends.
You don't get Palladia on your TV?
Of all people, Todd Surprise needs Palladia.
I get like 1 hour teaser on IFC channel, just enough to go, oh, here you go.
Yeah, but you don't get the good stuff.
I don't.
You can't get it if you wanted it. Is that
my
right?
My dad will call me and say, "Oh, ZZ Top's on. You gotta turn on the ZZ Top."
How many times did it take me before I realized I was torturing you? I used to say, "Hey, man, you watching Palladia? There's this great Jimmy Page documentary on there.
Please stop.
Who'd you tell me that? You told me this one time. Who ripped off? You said Led Zeppelin ripped off somebody.
Robert Johnson.
Yeah, but Robert Johnson was from the 40s, correct?
30s. 40s.
And let's be fair. Led Zeppelin, their music wasn't always the same.
No.
Huh?
No. I'll give Led Zeppelin more credit than most of the haters out there. A lot of them will just say that he's a blatant. They just stole everything and electrified it, but they made it their own. Now there was a few songs that if you went back and dug up, they were really close to.
In their early albums, though.
Yeah, if you did it nowadays, they might take you to court on some of the.
Hey, was Robert Johnson the black blues guitarist from back in the 20s or whatever that?
40s.
They had an interesting show on Identity Discovery Channel about old wills and some of the families contesting the will. And this Robert Johnson had some family members that even he didn't even know about that was suing for the rights to his old music.
Really?
From back in the 20s. And there was a person that came forward within the last 20 years, illegitimate son of Robert Johnson that sued for and received and was able to get all of the money of the royalties.
And never met his dad, probably.
And I don't think he ever met him. It was an interesting story. I didn't even know who Robert Johnson was, but I think now that you mention it, he was one of the...
Robert Johnson sold his soul?
He's the one they said that went down to the crossroads and sold his soul to the devil to learn. They said he was an average guitar player.
Didn't he die at an early age? He got sick and died.
He was poisoned.
Poisoned in some fashion.
So tell me again, he went down to the local... Tell me that again. He did what, Todd?
He went down to he was just an average guitar player, everybody said around town. Knew how to play, but it wasn't nothing special. And apparently one night came back and was tearing it up. And back then, there wasn't no explanation for how somebody could get so much better overnight, other than he must have sold his soul to the devil at the crossroads, and that's where the song Crossroads comes from.
Yeah.
Really?
In the movie.
I
yeah,
went down to the
that's
crossroads.
That's what they said. He
That
sold
song
his
was
soul.
made really popular by
Eric Clapton.
And you know, Skinner played that too
Yes, they did.
on their double live album. I just purchased the double live Led Zeppelin album
Yes,
that just
that's a-
came out
that's a
that
good
they
album.
recorded in 09
Yes. It's a
with
great album.
John Bonham's son playing Jason. And let me tell you,
a
I
great
thought I
album.
was going to be really disappointed with Robert Plant's voice.
It was pretty good.
It's pretty damn good.
Yep.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with it. And you know what? I wish that they would play and tour.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in Robert Plant not wanting to tour, because I really believe that Page and all them really want to tour. I really do, but Plant's doing some other Alicia Keys stuff, and
I think Robert Plant's afraid his voice won't hold.
How old is he now? You got to be 70 years old, doesn't he?
he's
65 anyway, right?
Yeah. Did you see him on the Kennedy Awards thing? They were on there, the Kennedy Awards thing with him. I think Zeppelin got introduced, David Letterman, Buddy Guy, I believe.
Oh
and,
yeah, because my girl, she got to sing for Buddy Guy, didn't she? Yeah,
That's right.
Beth Hart.
Beth Hart, yeah.
That was some good exposure for her. She did, and Buddy Guy was touched by the way she was singing it. Did you
Exactly.
notice that?
Yeah, he liked that.
Because I mean, some other people, Bonnie Raitt sung a
Exactly.
song.
Everybody did their own.
And, yeah, but when she was singing, Buddy was doing the head nod, and he was into it a little bit more than some of the others.
Yep, he got it. He kind of got her style on that thing.
He felt her.
Yep.
With
And it
that.
was a good show, but you could see Robert Plant. He had a tear in his eye 2 or 3 times when they did a zoom in on him. Like you could tell that they were showing old video of him, and it was pretty hurtful. You could tell that maybe he may not think that he has, like you said, the pipe stuff. It's kind of tough to live up to.
Well, I mean, those high range screams that he
Yeah.
did, you know, you can't do that when
Not
you're 60
20.
years old. Right, right.
Not-
But you know what? On this double live album I just purchased from him, that sucker, I mean, he does a good job masking over it in areas, you know, changing the way that he does it, and it sounds really good. And, you know, when I hear an old singer like that, I can't expect him to hit that high range.
I don't expect David
Cover it
Lee
up
Roth-
good, and I'm good with that.
I'm not expecting David Lee Roth to hit the old screams like he used to, but just go out there and put a show on.
Yeah, exactly. All right, phone lines
Sorry.
are open, 816-833-8553, 816-833-8553. Here's what I'll do. Harvey, I know we got your address and everything here today. In fact, today would be a good day for me to take care of shipping those T-shirts. We have been buried alive over here. First person that walks through the doors over here at 10841 East 28th Street in Independence. Before we leave, now you have to be over here by, 11 o'clock. Let's say we're here till 11 usually, right, Kirk, after the show?
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
10841 East 28th Street South. It's just off of 27th and Sterling. First person walks through those front doors gets a T-shirt and a hat. All right? 10841 East 28th Street South. I always put the South on it. That's the legal address. But if you go to 28th and Appleton, which is just off of 27th and Sterling, you can pick up a T-shirt and a hat today.
One thing about MapQuest and satellite
Right.
thing, you can punch in the address and drive right here.
1010841 East 28th Street South, Independence, Missouri.
Giant radio towers out there.
Can't miss the towers. Right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. You'll freak out when you come in here and see where we're at.
It is pretty unusual to have this building right here in the middle of a residential neighborhood, isn't it?
It is. This building has been here for 50 years, and it has always been a radio station. So, hey, also, don't forget, guys, we're going to be doing the pay-per-view. We announced it last week. We want to get it in one more time before we wrap up the show today. Pay-per-view live at Tucson International Raceway Park, formerly USA Raceway. It's where we had the Western World for a couple years. ASCS National Tour is going back there. We kind of replaced that racetrack with Canyon last year. But now we're going back home, Tucson International Raceway Park, right by the airport in Tucson. We'll be doing a live pay-per-view event of the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour. You can purchase that broadcast for $15 a day or buy both days, save $5, get it for $25. Basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving you the Racing Boys radio broadcast. We're going to have Jeff Converse up there shooting the video. We'll have a couple still shots to where speed shots. It's going to be kind of simple when it comes to the video, but at the same time, you'll be able to watch it with the expertise camera operations of Jeff Converse, who's the best in the business when it comes to sprint cars. High Vista Video. Check their work out at highvistavideo.com. He'll be running the camera for us. We'll put our regular radio broadcast to it. You'll get the flavor of the race and the video, and then all the action of Scotty down in the pits doing the pit reporting out in the middle of the track. It's going to be really kind of simple, the video portion of it, again, with Racing Boys Radio added to it. So paid per view, that is February 22nd, 23rd. And don't forget, we announced it last week as well, the Eagle Nationals, live paid per view on Racing Boys, June 1st. So there's our first two announcements of pay-per-view events that we're going to be doing in 2013. People have been asking for it, Kirk, and we know that people, they're not going to be happy until they get it, so that's why we're moving in this direction.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're getting ready, geared up for it right now down Tucson International Raceway, great racetrack, which, by the way, the Winter Extreme is going on right now. Dirt late models in action down there. Last night, Terry Phillips winning the feature event. Wednesday night, Will Vaught. Chris Simpson won last Sunday night. I think it's round 5 of 6 tonight. They got
we should have had Michael Rigsby on
Saturday night and Sunday night. Dirt on Dirt has all the live pay-per-view of those events coming up here over the next couple of nights.
You know, let me send him a text real quick. Maybe we got a little bit of time left. We could run over a little bit. Maybe we could get him on the show, Kurt. Let's just talk to the folks out there for a second.
Find out what's going on out there. They had, I guess, Terry Phillips had a battle with Billy Moyer last night. Those two guys were going at it, and Phillips was able to hold him off at the end for his first win of 2013. Terry Phillips' dirt late model program trying to rebound after an off year last season, and he gets a good early win. As Will Vaught finished third, Ron Davies fourth, and Shane Clanton rounded out the top 5. They had modifieds out there last night as well. Jason Crone outran Jake O'Neill for the modified feature event out at Tucson International Raceway. And, of course, a lot of big racing going on down at Florida coming up here over the next few weeks. Volusia Speedway Park, Barberville, Florida. We'll have the Dirt Car Nationals coming up down there here in mid-February. Of course, Daytona for the second year in a row is the last weekend in February for the Daytona 500 this year. And so there's still a lot of events going on in Georgia. I think Screven Motor Speedway down in Georgia have some dirt late model events before they head down into Florida. East Bay Raceway Park with some events. So we're starting to get to it here. 2013 off and running. And, of course, the Chili Bowl is always the big event that gets everybody rolling in racing.
Your voice sounds a little froggy.
Yeah, I've had my second cold wave here. It started 2 weeks ago, and it was kind of funny. I got down to the Chili Bowl, and I felt great, which that's a good thing. You want to feel good when you're at the Chili Bowl, and thought I was completely over it. Then I get back here to Kansas City last Sunday,
Not so much.
and it comes all over again. Didn't you have the same thing happen to you? You had like round 1 of a cold, and then it came back again? You had that here about a month ago, didn't you?
But I don't think I was as sick as you, though.
I'm not sick. I just it just affected
You sound
my
like you are.
throat, and I was coughing real bad last night. Had to take a little bit of cough medicine, but yeah, I'll be all right. Feel fine other than that.
Yeah.
It sounds worse than it really is. Trust me on that.
Let me take a look here real quick. Oh, hey, don't forget the new poll question up on Racing Boys as well. Will the new generation NASCAR Sprint Cup car improve quality of racing overall in 2013?
Overwhelming, it says yes.
Well, there's only 2 votes.
Oh, I just put that up, didn't I?
Yeah.
And you're one of them, right?
I'm one of the 2 votes. I say yes. I think it's going to be better. Listening to the feedback from some of the drivers that are down there testing at Charlotte, Casey Kane seems to be really excited about his car. He says it's the best car he's ever taken to Charlotte. That could be trouble for a lot of fans. I mean, a lot of drivers down there. Casey Kane really having one of his best years to date last year. in his new ride over there at Hendrick Motorsports. I look for Casey Kane to be a player for the championship before the end of this year, if he can carry the momentum that he had towards the end of last year. And by the way, we want to thank Casey Kane for coming in and visiting with us in the booth down at the Chili Bowl Nationals as well. Gracious with his time, came down on the Schoenfeld Header pre-race show, and was a good guy. Always takes the time.
He was at the Kick It for Cancer kickball thing as well, you know. We got some pretty good pictures of Casey Kane. We may be able to get those up on the website as well.
Yeah, and once he qualified on Wednesday night, I believe it was, he was testing, and he would have started in the G main last Saturday. He didn't come back and race last Saturday, by the way.
We're used to that with Casey, though. If he's not in the C or the B, he's probably not going to come out and give it a whirl.
Well, he was still working down there at Daytona. If he had qualified for the A main, he'd have still done like Tony did.
Or if he would have been in a C and a B, if he would have got into the Saturday night program, he probably would have showed up.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
he just didn't want to deal with the alphabet soup.
Well, I don't think it was that. I don't think he'd get back in time to run that G main. They were still testing down there at Daytona on Saturday.
Well, it depends on how much testing they got in prior to Saturday, too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He didn't make it back, though.
No. Well, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get a hold of.
Hey, I was going to tell you, speaking of Tony Stewart, we hadn't talked about him. Man, he got involved in a big-time wreck early on in that race. This was like, the second lap of the race? He had a car up on top of him there. What happened there?
I didn't really see it happen, so I can't tell you what happened. But he was never a player at that point.
No.
Something happened.
His race was over early.
Well, in fact, he got lapped. I think he got lapped.
I'm surprised there wasn't more damage done to that car than what happened.
Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sammy said something in his post-race interview that said to the fact, well, he kind of held me up there a lap or two. He could have let me go a little easier, if I remember right. So go to RacinBoys YouTube page. We've got 60 videos up from down there. A bunch of them with Sammy and Kevin and a bunch of the drivers down there. I think Tony Stewart as well. So check that out. All right, well, I guess we're not going to get a hold of Michael Rigsby. I was hoping that he might be able to call in. Let me check here.
He's sleeping, probably, isn't he?
Yeah, he's probably sleeping.
You're waking him up.
I know it. And he's,
He's a busy man right now.
He's mountain time right now, too. Yeah. So it's an hour earlier there as well.
Yeah, you bothered him. He's trying to get some rest.
So it's only 9 o'clock out there.
Of course, they're up late,
Yeah.
doing what they do.
Right. Okay. All right.
Got all those pressers on YouTube, too, all the press conferences.
Yep.
Yeah. Getting a lot of views, too, by the way. We want to thank Scotty for doing a great job down there.
Todd, want to thank you for all the great job you did.
Thanks for coming down and breaking your wrist, bud. And we really appreciate it.
I was jamming all the way up until, 9:55 or
whatever it was. Yeah.
And then after that,
I made fun of you falling on the air too, right in front of the booth.
In front of everyone. Only about 8,900 people saw me, I think.
It was probably closer to 10,000.
Yeah, well, it was a yellow flag. I was hoping some might have went to the bathroom, got a beer.
No, I don't think so. I think everybody saw it.
I had quite a few responses from the racing community out there. I appreciate them. That's a very, very nice community out there. All of them, people I don't even know. Sending me well wishes on my Facebook and emails. I appreciate that.
Hey man, you're a racing boy now.
You know. It makes it get by a lot easier. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
It happened in front of
pull your camera back a little bit. There you go.
It just happened in front of 10,000 people. That's all.
Yeah, that's all. It couldn't have happened.
Couldn't have happened when nobody was there, like on Sunday when we're tearing down.
Tearing down, or or at the end of the 2:30 or 3:30 in the morning when it was just me and Kirk walking out of the building.
Well, every night, walk out of the building, go to Village Inn, eat, go to bed. That was it.
Routine,
that was it, pretty much.
That's quite a life to live for a week down there, isn't it, Todd?
Hey, you know what? You made some friends down there. I know Alan from over there at Hose Heads. He was asking about you and all the people because you were up there in the media room all the time.
Those guys are nice guys. There's a lot of nice guys up there.
Hey, Todd.
Yes, sir.
What happens the next time a beach ball comes down? What are you going to do?
I don't even look at beach balls no more.
You're not going to look at another one. This is the actual beach ball that caused him to break his arm right here, his wrist.
You can have that beach ball too, by the way, Todd.
And some people wrote on here too.
I've seen that.
Yeah, as Scotty said, hope feel good. I think Zoc wrote on here. Yeah, it says get well soon, Todd, Justin. And Scotty wrote on here as well. I didn't know that until I started reading it the other day. But
Well,
We were surprised that ball was still laying out there the next morning. It was still out.
Well, his effort to try to get it up was what caused his fall. He was a little off like this, and was bad.
Well, the first shot, I threw it up once. It didn't make it. I should have just let it stay. Just let it
because it didn't make it the second time.
No,
either.
and I didn't make it the second time.
Right. All right, let's roll the theme. Let's get out of here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget, Track Talk is brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Each and every week, hour number 1 on Sports Radio 810 WHB, and hour number 2, McCarthy Chevrolet in Olathe, I-35 in Santa Fe. Just out on the outer road, it's Rawhide Road. You see it. If you're going south on I-35, you'll see McCarthy Chevrolet on your right-hand side. Take the Santa Fe exit, turn right, go to the first light, turn right. That puts you on Rawhide Road. Follow that down there. It will take you right to McCarthy Chevrolet down on your left. Great deals. Plenty of 2013 cars are in there right now. So go out there and make sure you tell them thanks for supporting the Racing Boys. For Todd, for Kirk, I'm Scott. We'll see you next week.